All right, well, thank you all so much for being out here, and it's actually wonderful to be in a beautiful, peaceful neighborhood up in our Northeast Heights part of the city, and also on a beautiful day. But unfortunately, we have a story to tell you that is all too common in this part of the city. And there's a little bit behind this, so that's why we're going to take our time and try and give you as much information as possible. And also, most importantly, we want to get the word out to everyone in Albuquerque who's experiencing this. And so, what is this is the first question. First off, you see all these markings everywhere, and we all see this, and we have some PRC folks who can help explain that. But look, those are just utility markings so that construction companies don't hit anything that they shouldn't hit and doesn't knock out your power and so forth. But the reason why this is happening on your street is because our city is developing more broadband options for everyone. And so a couple of years ago, the city said, hey, we got to have more broadband options that are cheaper and higher quality. And in general, that's a good thing, and we support that. And that's also why we have a broadband office who's been working on this. So we allowed other companies to bid and go through the process, develop franchise fees and all sorts of things to be allowed to bring broadband to our communities and so we have more options and even cheaper and higher quality broadband. So that's a good thing. It's what we want. Unfortunately, the way this is being done, especially by some of these providers, is an absolute nightmare for our homeowners. People are getting their yards torn up and not fixed. People are getting work done in the middle of the night, and they're also having their own landscaping ruined and not fixed as it should be. And so these typically subcontractors are just riding roughshod all over these neighborhoods. And I know I've have a couple of conversations I've had actually in this neighborhood, but down the street, you know, we've got elderly individuals who are kind of unknowingly giving access to their backyard, and then their backyards being torn up. We have examples of these contractors using the restroom on other people's property. And we have extremely egregious examples, even just yesterday, which is what we're going to focus on. You know, we have put a stop work order on all of these firms because of what they're doing. So they have to stop. And even yesterday, Easy Fiber was here working after the stop work order. That is literally illegal. So we are doing what we need to do to shut these companies down until they get it right. And we're also going to hold them legally accountable for the damages and for violating all the city rules that they're not following. So we're having a stop work order right now for all of these firms. And what they need to do to get back and do this right is, first off, fix all the damage they've done. But they also are going to have to follow the rules. And these rules were spelled out beforehand, but now we're going to start finding them. And we're not going to issue more permits if they can't follow them. And the rules are really basic. They're things that all of our utilities have always done for decades in cities like Albuquerque and around the country. And the rules are basic. They've got to repair the damage to your property. That is already should be happening, and that's what they have to do. They also have to disclose who they are and give you a contact number. They're not doing that either. They also are supposed to conduct work during normal work hours. They are not allowed to be in front of your house at midnight. They also are not supposed to block your driveway. They're also supposed to make sure that they have visible identification of which company they're working for. And they also, of course, aren't supposed to hit things like gas lines or do any of that damage either. And they're supposed to promptly remedy those situations. All of these have been issues with these firms. But most recently and most egregiously is what we're displaying here today with Easy Fiber. And so we're going to make sure that these new rules are followed and the construction is halted until these folks are accountable, until they fix what they've done, until they will do this in the right way going forward. Now, we want to acknowledge that there are 3 firms that are doing this work in the city. And we want firms to be able to offer us better options for fiber. But these firms also use a ton of subcontractors. And this is part of the challenge. These subcontractors, you know, who's ultimately accountable? We'll figure that out. But the answer is they both are. The subs got to follow the laws, and the firms that are actually doing the fiber have to hold their subcontractors accountable. And so we've got subcontractors from out of state in here, and no one is doing this in the right way for our city. And so that's why we're taking these actions. So with more on this, we're going to hear from some of our folks who are involved in this more deeply. And first and foremost, we are fortunate to have at least created, now several years ago, a broadband coordinator and program manager position. And so let's hear from Catherine Nicolo, who's overseeing this for the city.
And we might, just so folks know, there is a neighbor who is going to get ready and leave, so we might want to pause really quickly as they back out. Sorry about that, Catherine. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, as the mayor mentioned, my name is Catherine Nicolau. I'm the broadband program manager for the city of Albuquerque. We have all probably been impacted by construction one way or another, though we don't often see it so close to our homes. This fiber construction is different since it is related to a major infrastructure upgrade. Bringing fiber internet is a major infrastructure upgrade because the technology is installed underground. It's being brought through fibers, and it's put on poles to bring faster and more reliable internet. And it is an upgrade to what we currently have in the city of Albuquerque. It'll help support our needs as the city grows and into the future. And we all want construction, right, to be quick and out of our way, but we're hearing from our residents and seeing that this is too quick and quite careless, as the mayor mentioned. Now, the city of Albuquerque has put all 3 fiber companies on a stop work order at different times. The first one happened to be a company called Gigapower in late 2024. Vexus was the next company, and now Easy Fiber. Now, as for the process of installing the fiber, the city of Albuquerque is not performing any construction related to installing fiber internet in neighborhoods. The construction is done by these private companies who use these subcontractors. These internet service providers are installing this technology across our state of New Mexico, across the country, and now they're coming to our city. This whole process is creating a more competitive marketplace that will in turn put our residents and our businesses in the driver's seat because of the competition. We're looking at how our city can remain competitive with the rest of the world in terms of access to technology. Everyone should have equitable access to a high-speed fiber connection, and we support that by issuing permits to private companies to install these fiber optic connections in public utility easements. So we are listening to our residents to make sure while these companies are here, while we get these infrastructure upgrades, that there's actually less disruption than we're seeing. So call 311. We have been able to support hundreds of residents, and we're getting general questions and as well as helping them with certain issues related to construction. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Catherine. I'll just, introduce who's next. So part of this work is also, of course, in coordination with our planning department. And so let's bring up the Director of Planning, Alan Varela.
Thank you, Mayor. The planning department has the Office of the City Engineer. The City Engineer oversees a lot of the work orders. That's the request to perform work for these projects. And those work orders are created by the fiber companies and by their subcontractors and their engineering departments, and they specify in there that they'll follow all the standard specifications that the city sets. And obviously in these cases that has not lived up to our expectation. Their performance is far from what we've expected. We expected to see a lot more communication with the community and with the neighbors to explain to them what is going on in their neighborhood, to communicate with them as the work is taking place, and then communicate with them when the installation is finished and when the repair will take place, and to make sure that that's done properly. We obviously also expected a lot more coordination between the 3 fiber optic companies, and so you may be seeing some very strong enhancements to the rules, clarifications to the rules that will be coming down over the next few weeks. And we also expected a lot of cooperation between these fiber companies, the neighborhoods that they're coming in. They're trying to sell a product ultimately, so they need to establish good relationships with people as they go. Otherwise, the company that didn't do that is at a disadvantage when it comes to a competitor who will offer the same service. So we're going to make sure that we hold their feet to the fire and that they slow down, do it right. They shouldn't have come in the way they did. We're happy they're here, but they didn't need to come in such a careless, haphazard sort of fashion. We were alarmed. We've been monitoring the number of consumer complaints that have been coming in from people, and those went from 10 or 20 per month spread out amongst 3 companies, which is okay, reasonable, not great, but it's okay and reasonable, to up to 200 per month over the last couple of months. And so we put our foot down and we issue the stop work orders, and those will stay in place until they clear up the messes that they've made, and then we will very slowly, in a very measured fashion, continue to approve their work orders and then issue the permits that they need. Thanks.
Thanks, Alan. Okay, and now our Public Works division is also part of this, and so the director, Jennifer Turner.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm the director of the City Department of Municipal Development. We're the department that's responsible for the streets and the sidewalks and the street lights and traffic signals. And we take great pride in how we maintain all of the streets and sidewalks and signals, just like property owners take pride in their driveways and yards and homes. And so when we hear that these companies are coming in and trashing and running roughshod on all of our streets and all the driveways, we're very concerned. And within my department, we're the ones that issue the barricade permits to the companies that allow them to barricade the streets and sidewalks to come in and do the work. And so when we're hearing from residents that, as Director Varela said, they're not hearing about all the work that's being done, and they come home from work, a long day of work, to find their driveway blocked. When we hear about those things, we have the authority to issue fines and to stop work to make sure that neighbors get the notice that they deserve. We know that the fiber is bringing an important service to the city, and we're excited about that, but we want it to be done right. And when it's done wrong, and when you don't find out about it, we want constituents to report that to us. And we're all here to promise you that we are going to be holding these fiber companies accountable and making sure that your yards and driveways and our streets are repaired. Thank you.
Okay, let's also hear from, we got a couple of other folks, because this is interesting in that, like, the state's part of this in different ways. There's an accountability framework, but it does involve a lot of different folks. So we do want to talk about some of the new rules for these installers that we're adding on top of the existing ones, and that actually comes through our technology department. So that director is Mark Leach.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Leach. I'm the Director for the Department of Technology and Innovation at the City of Albuquerque. So as you can see, there's already a lot of collaboration going on. And of course, we're happy and excited to see fiber companies investing in Albuquerque and the benefits that come with a new development. We want to take an education-first approach to enforcement, but if necessary, we want to make sure that we can effectively enforce the high standards that we expect. We are going to be collating all of our expectations that have already been articulated to the companies into a new rule. So this rule is being created with the intent to have companies coordinate their builds to minimize digging more than once, and we're going to be reviewing areas where there are a high number of complaints. We're going to be enforcing limits on the areas they're allowed to construct in the city. We're going to be requiring contractor vehicles to have the company's logo, and finally, workers are going to have to wear identifiable gear with the company logo on it. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, as I mentioned, there's some partner agencies that are part of this throughout our state. And so we're joined today by the Public Regulation Commission and Jason Montoya, who's in charge of safety. And they're the ones who also work on the markings and so forth that we see on our streets.
Thank you, Mayor. And going last is probably easy. I can just sit here and echo and concur with everything you've already heard. Make my job a little bit easier, but nonetheless, the New Mexico Public Regulation Commission is committed to ensuring safe excavation and preventing damage to underground infrastructure. As is the city, we are also aware of the issues and concerns that have been brought to the forefront from these fiber projects. Expanding fiber to homes is a necessity anymore. However, it shall be done in a safe and prudent manner. Both contractors and utilities alike are responsible for complying with the state statutes and the PRC rules. The Pipeline Safety Bureau is tasked with ensuring compliance, and this can range from a variety of things, such as public awareness, similar to today's press conference, short-term or even long-term shutdowns. We have the ability to fine and issue civil penalties. Since January 1, 2025, we actually have issued about 57 notice of probable violations as a result of contractors being at fault for underground infrastructure damage. Our inspectors are frequently, including myself, meeting with the project owners, the three that have been referenced earlier. We meet with their contractors periodically. We are performing patrols, unannounced patrols, to verify that they are doing it in a safe and prudent manner. We are having compliance conferences, and we are just committed to holding them accountable and supporting the city's efforts. The PRC also wants to take a moment and just encourage homeowners and others to look out for door hangers or envelope stuffers that these contractors are supposed to be utilizing to notify them well in advance. And it may have pertinent information of how you can get in contact with them to know when and where they are going to be in your communities. And so with that, Mayor, thank you.
Thanks so much. Now, I think what I'll do is we just want to paraphrase the kind of situation behind us, just so you kind of know why we're also using this as an example. The work that was done behind me, I think if you look at it first off, there's general dangerous conditions in terms of how they actually boarded up holes and things like this that you don't want to see. The most important thing though on this one is this work was being done after the stop work order. This work was literally being done illegally. And what we've learned from the community is that they were clearly in a hurry. I mean, in fact, they were here apparently until the media showed up. And then all of a sudden everyone fled. So that's why we're moving fast on this, and we're going to hold them accountable. This is just taking advantage of our neighbors, and so that's why you're here today. And I also wanted to mention, I think, one other piece, which is that, you know, all that work about, you know, who the firm is and what it is, what they're doing. This is routine stuff. People do this all over the country and in Albuquerque all the time, and it is never this bad. That's also what we want to highlight. Okay, so with that, I think, Shannon, you want to do some Q&A, or Dan, whoever?
Yeah, sure.
Not that it matters, but we can happy to take questions.
Yep. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so whoever thinks they can answer this the best, go ahead and step forward. So if construction is paused, I was just wondering what's going to happen with, you know, what we're seeing now. So what will happen with the dirt, the pulled up, the holes, what will happen if there's a halt stop on construction?
Excellent question.
Thank you for that question. So a halt on construction just means that no new construction can happen. What the companies need to focus on in a stop work order is restoration, complete and full restoration. The City of Albuquerque, as well as the Pipeline Safety Bureau, have records of complaints, of restoration issues. Our inspectors go out. So we have a whole record of what needs to be fixed and restored. And so that will be their focus before they can begin new construction.
Do they need to receive a different kind of permitting for that? Or can they just, once they have the stop work order, can they just start doing that?
My understanding is they will continue to work in the areas that they're permitted, but that work only refers to restoration work, not new construction.
Would what was described here regarding the repairing of, or the changing of stuff here that was described as being illegal, wouldn't that fall into that category then?
I don't know if we want Director Turner or Rella to.
Just because I understand the process.
Yesterday they were digging, which is a day later than
Okay.
Yeah, there's a difference between boring and installing new conduit and going back and fixing up yards that they messed up, clearly.
Did folks have other questions?
I do apologize for my tardiness.
No
I'm not sure if you
problem,
answered this earlier in the press conference, but how is the city helping out residents that are dealing with this damage in front of their homes? But elsewhere in the city, we've done stories where people have had flooding because they have cut the wrong line. It has damaged the inside of their homes. They're literally going through hell with insurance trying to get the repairs done. How is the city helping them with that, or either recoup the damages or help navigate this situation?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to take it, Catherine?
Yeah, sure. The city works directly with each company to make sure that the resident is made whole on every single one of them.
What can you expand on what that means? That
Yeah.
seems like a blanket answer.
So residents can call, we encourage residents to call 311. Those 311 tickets come to the Broadband office as well as to the Department of Municipal Development and the Planning Department. We coordinate together. We communicate with the company right of way, like as soon as we get that complaint, and we make sure that we hold their feet to the fire. They either reimburse, they fully reimburse the resident, they fix it, yeah.
Yep, we can take one more question, and then we can do some pull-asides if you all have additional questions for some of the specific directors. Yeah, go ahead, one more.
Yes, so I was just wondering, because we saw this from the city, but also City Council has been working on a proposal to halt any new fiber optic installation permits. So it seems City Council and the city want the same things achieved. So will the city be working with City Council to get those goals met?
You want to take it, Director Burrow?
Yes, City Council is on a parallel path with us to make sure that we get a handle on this situation quickly now that it is really just getting going. The fiber companies have been doing this now for a few months, and we expect their work to take several years. And so we're on parallel tracks headed to the same destination, and of course we'll be working with City Council. We look forward to it.
How long is the stop order in place for?
And the stop work order is in place until they have remediated and repaired all of the outstanding complaints. And until we've verified that and then carefully reviewed their applications for any future permits and made sure that they are going to behave the way that they said they'd behave when they entered into the franchise agreements. Okay.
Okay, thank you all for coming out, and I appreciate everyone's patience. I know we had to reschedule this, and we ended up moving a block east, so thank you all for bearing with us, and directors will be sticking around if you have individual questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.